from the home of the three-piece combos, Pugilism Company. Welcome to Pugilism Podcast. This is Reed, the Black Bert Sugar. Writer, matchmaker, boxing fan, artist, former bootlegger of boxing on VHS. Happy 420 to those that indulge. My thoughts, however, are on 421. Happy 420, but I'm all about 421. That's that Showtime triple header we have coming up. We also have fights of note overseas. But let's delve into that Showtime triple header first. Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. We have Adrian Broner versus Jesse Vargas. Charlo versus Hugo Centeno Jr. And Gervonta Tank Davis against Jesus Cuellar. Had the weigh-in today. Broner was 144 pounds. Vargas was 143 3/4. Now, there was a contract weight of 144. So, it was just a little bit interesting that Broner came in heavier. Nonetheless, Vargas is the taller, thicker, and bigger man. So, on fight night, I have no doubt he'll be filled out, and that size advantage will be transparent to all with eyes. Steven Espinosa, he, of course, the president of sports programming for Showtime, went on record saying Adrian Broner cannot afford another loss. Yeah, that's a pretty big statement. Steven Espinosa, president of sports and entertainment programming, on record states Adrian the Problem Broner cannot afford another loss. When the shot caller of the network that you fight on makes a statement of that magnitude, it is what it is. You have to bring it. When all is said and done, there's nothing more to say or do, except in this case, continue to win if you're Adrian Broner. I said yesterday I was kind of alluding to Broner winning. I still feel that way. Looking at the weigh-in, both men in tip-top shape. They passed the eyeball test. We saw the abs. We saw the cuts. They both came ready, which tells me Broner had a real good camp with Kevin Cunningham. He was agitated at the press conference yesterday, which I take as a good sign. It shows that he cares. The idea of losing yet again, it bothered him, and he was agitated about it. Now he has the head honcho of the network that he boxes for saying he can't afford another loss. Call it pressure, call it what you will, and we'll see how Broner responds. But I'm going to go ahead and pick him by a unanimous decision, or by decision. I'll say unanimous. I started to say it, so I'll stick by it. Unanimous decision. I see Broner's hand speed being a decisive factor. Vargas, he's a wide puncher. He loops his shots. I think if Broner stays close, if he can negate Vargas's jab, I see Broner having much success in the pocket and right down the middle with Vargas. I don't see him having any problems connecting with shots on Vargas. And I think people might be surprised by Broner's ability to either hurt Vargas outright or at least make him leery of trying to get too close to him. Anyway, give me Broner UD. Charlo and Centeno, Charlo that is, he weighed 160 pounds. Centeno, though he's taller than Charlo, who's 6 foot himself, Centeno looked to be every bit of 6'1 and a half, 6'2". Nonetheless, he weighed 158 and a half pounds. Charlo's kept it professional. Spoke yesterday of the beef with Charlo and both Adrian Broner and Tank Davis, their unhappiness with what they thought was going to be a doubleheader becoming a tripleheader when Centeno sustained a rib injury, which postponed that fight. Charlo clapped back mightily and audibly and comically. My man brought it. If you haven't seen that video, please watch it. It's hilarious. I watch it at least once a day. It immediately changes. If I'm in a down mood, it immediately changes it. It lifts my spirits. And I have no vested interest. I have no axe to grind with Broner or Tank. It's just that Charlo, he's an entertaining dude. Now, Jamal's twin brother, Jamel, is obviously in New York in support of his sibling. There was some chirping between him and Broner at various points of the weigh-in today. Again, Jamal kept it professional, even in his comments. Hey, I'm focused on my fight. I don't have beef with Broner. I don't have beef with Gervonta Davis. But Jamel Charlo was certainly fanning those flames, keeping them burning. It was all words. Broner had his people there. Charlo had his people there, and neither side was allowing their man or one guy to get anywhere remotely close to the other. So it was just words being exchanged. We hope and we pray it doesn't exceed that level, because again, it's a professional boxing card. Doesn't need to degenerate into anything more. In this one, Charlo, he's gonna do damage to Centeno. I don't see this one going past 6. May even be ended earlier. Charlo by KO. Centeno has nothing for him. The opener features Gervonta Tank Davis against Jesus Cuellar. Tank, he weighed 129 pounds. Cuellar was 129 and a quarter. Hey, I've been very vocal in criticism of Tank for losing his IBF title, or it might have been the WBA title, one of them. Anyway, he lost a super featherweight title on the scales on the undercard of Mayweather McGregor, no less. Like, how do you choke? How do you spit the bit? How do you miss the mark that badly on a card that important? Well, Tank's young, and the way you judge a man is on how he responds to adversity. This is a step in the right direction. He appears to be in tremendous shape. Based on the pictures I saw, there was no softness at all in his body, which was not the case in his bout on the McGregor-Mayweather show. In fact, for the first time in 3 fights, Gervonta Davis made weight on the first try. In his last 3 bouts, he's needed more than one attempt just to make 130 pounds. In this particular case, earlier today, he came in 1 pound under on the first try. If that doesn't tell you anything about an increased level of commitment, nothing will. Tank attributes this to him moving camp from Baltimore, which is his home city. That's his crib. That's his hood. He moved camp from Baltimore to West Palm Beach, Florida. And at least on camera, the results speak for themselves. I see Tank possibly stealing this show. He's going to dispose of Mr. Cuellar briefly in stunning fashion. It may not go past 3 rounds. 2-3 rounds. It's going to be quick and painful. One of those don't blink fights. To the degree that Tank had some people jumping off his bandwagon, I think he'll convince some of those who jumped shipped to get back on that ship after this performance. And then we'll see what happens for him next. As I stated earlier at the beginning, happy 420. If you get down like that, happy 420. Not knocking it, but my thoughts, my concentration is on 421. Not 420, 421. Moving to overseas action, we'll have Carl Frampton fighting Nonito Donaire in Belfast, England on 421. Frampton weighed in at 125.3. He's, of course, the former featherweight champion. He gave Leo Santa Cruz his first loss and then lost in the rematch. I see no way that him and Santa Cruz won't fight a third time somewhere down the line. But yes, Mr. Frampton will be facing future Hall of Famer Nonito Donaire, who weighed in at 125.8. Donaire's won world titles at 112, 115, all the way up to 126. Shoe-in first ballot Hall of Famer. Real good, technically sound fighter with power, with unusual power for a smaller guy. Obviously, 26 is not the division where he belongs. He was at his best in that 115, 118 range. I actually obviously like Nonito more, and in his prime, pound for pound, Donaire would knock out Frampton. But at this stage of his career, you're fighting on Frampton's turf. I see Donaire losing by unanimous decision. Carl Frampton, UD. Hopefully not a late stoppage. I'd like to see Donaire go the distance here, but he's up there in age, man. And older, lower weight fighters, they're actually even older. Like their joints, their movements, their ability to perform, it's even more. Their inability to perform, I should say, is even more drastic. It's even more obvious. Like they could both be 35 or whatever, but an old, smaller guy is going to look older and perform slower and more deliberate than an older, bigger guy. Would love to see Donaire win this, but he won't. It'll be a Frampton decision, more than likely unanimous. And the other bout of note, as we're shouting out 420, keeping our eyes on the prize, which is 421, Amir Khan faces Phil Greco in Echo Arena in Liverpool, England. Khan faces Greco in Echo. Okay, I like that. Khan hadn't fought since May of 2016 when he got stretched. I mean, laid out by Saul Canelo Alvarez on, again, May 2016. Khan was so stretched out, the only thing missing was Chris Tucker standing over him like Smokey from Friday, saying you got knocked the F out. That was the only thing missing from that. Since that fight, Khan has appeared on a UK reality show called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And that show has boosted his popularity so that this bout with Greco, this comeback fight, first fight in 2 years for Amir Khan, it sold out. On top of that, this is Khan's first bout in the UK since beating Julio Diaz in 2013. That's a long time ago. It's 2018. He hadn't fought in the UK, his home country, since beating Julio Diaz in 2013. The country he represented in the Olympics. This will be his first fight there in 2013. So that That reality show he was on must have been something to generate this popularity, to make him once again a viable attraction on his home soil. Khan weighed in at 150 pounds. Greco was 149.5. Because of the popularity of the show, Khan signed a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, who's the promoter of Anthony Joshua. Hearn's plan is to get Khan a couple wins, and then in that third fight, make a mega English bout between Khan and Kell Brook, who loathe one another. They've hated each other for years, and that would be one of the easier fights to sell today on British soil. Kell Brook wants to introduce Khan to them chocolate brownies. Well, Khan's got to get by Greco first. One thing about Amir Khan, he's got good offensive skills. He's got real quick hands, good combinations. I mean, y'all saw the Danny Garcia fight. He was giving Garcia the business until that wild eyes closed left hook. That's like Danny's patented punch. His patented punch. The eyes closed, winging left hook. Hit Khan in the neck, the mandible, that area where the chin and the neck meets. And then it was all she wrote. But make no mistake, Khan was getting with Danny Garcia until that moment. Hell, Khan was winning rounds against Saul Canelo Alvarez. And Khan had no business being in the ring with him. Canelo weighed like 180 pounds that night. The fight took place at 54. I believe they had a catch weight that was a tad lower, maybe. But Canelo was $180 on fight night. Amir Khan had no business in there. Nonetheless, his offensive skills, his quick hands, his good combinations actually put a few rounds in his pocket. But the thing is, that chin, though. That chin, man. If you could tell me, hey, I'm not going to get hit, this guy's not going to get hit this entire fight, Amir Khan could very well be undefeated right now. But that's not how boxing works. Inevitably, at some point, if you're in that ring long enough, you're going to get hit. And in Amir Khan's case, bad things happen when he gets hit. Of any current talented fighter, Amir Khan has by far the worst chin, the worst punch resistance, the lowest ability to deal with a hard punch of any current fighter who you can see legitimate talent in. I think the skill level, the talent level will be enough. I think Eddie Hearn, he's a smart enough promoter. He's done his homework on Greco. Greco's dangerous, but I don't see him winning this fight. He will, however, mark my words, he will either hurt Khan badly or drop Khan. That's just how bad Khan's chin is. Khan's chin will live up to the expectations I have, or you could even say live down to it. His chin will get touched, he'll get badly hurt and or dropped. But I think it will. He'll survive that rough patch and go ahead and he'll decision Greco when it's all said and done. Before we wrap this up here on Pugilism Podcast with your boy Reed, BBS, Blackbird Sugar. Got some quick hits for you. Of course, it's been announced Gennadiyevich Golovkin will be facing Vanis Martirosyan on May 5th at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. We'll also have Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez on the undercard, the co-main event, in fact. Senator Manny Pacquiao says if he beats Lucas Matisse on July 15th, that Vasyl Lomachenko is his target opponent for a fall fight. Can you imagine that? Even with Pacquiao in his diminished state, him and Lomachenko, man, now that would be something. The weight would probably be kind of tricky because Lomachenko is just now moving up to 35, where he'll be facing Jorge Linares in his next fight. And Pacquiao's fighting at welterweight. Pacquiao's a very tiny, small, short welterweight. He can probably get, I don't know if he can get to 140 anymore at this stage of his career, but he could get low 140s. And then maybe they do a catch weight. Lomachenko comes in 138-ish. Pacquiao maybe at 142. They'll work it out. If Pacquiao is genuine in his statements, I don't see Lomachenko having any problem. It'll be just the fight he needs to propel himself into boxing's mainstream. That's an area he deserves to be. He just hadn't really had the opponent. Mikey Garcia could be that guy, but Bob Arum doesn't want that fight to happen. Terrence Crawford is too big for Lomachenko, in my opinion. So Pacquiao would be perfect if he, of course, gets by Lucas Matisse and Lomachenko gets by Jorge Linares. And my final bit in quick hits, on May 19th from the MGM Harbor in Maryland, we'll have Gary Russell versus Joseph Jojo Diaz. This will be on the undercard of the Adonis Stevenson Badu Jack light heavyweight title fight. We got two U.S. Olympians. Gary Russell represented our country in 2008. Jojo Diaz did likewise in 2012. Should be an interesting fight between those two on May 19th. Thank you for lending me your ears for this podcast, this pugilism podcast, home of the three-piece combos, Pugilism Company. Of course, that three-piece, articles, podcasts, and videos. 3 pieces. Jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, 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 cross, hook, jab, cross, hook. That's how we give it to you. Unpredictable. You don't know when it's coming. There's no pattern to it, but rest assured it's coming. 3-piece combos. And every now and then we'll give you sides. What you need, a pepper, a biscuit, some coleslaw, some okra. We got sides too, some corn. What you need? What you working with? It's your boy Reed, the Black Bert Sugar. Pugilism Company, out.